So I do think you need to be really, really conscious of how you're feeling before a date. Are you feeling relaxed? Are you just feeling excited to see them and calm? And how true are you being to yourself? Are you trying to act a part? I know with Big Hands Man, I was trying to be sexy. I wanted to match his energy of hypersexuality, of like aggression, of assertiveness in that way. But that is not truly who I am. Who I truly am at my core is a feminine woman. I am soft. I'm also adventurous and I'm assertive, but always with leading a soft femininity. And that is what I feel comfortable. That is me being my essential self. And Soulmate definitely brought out that part of me. And if you look at my outfits, you can see the big difference. Like, I look like a feminine woman getting ready to go out on this date. And like, I want to impress him and be pretty, but I don't want to be overtly sexual. So I'm going to drive to his house because the plan is, normally I would make a man come to me, absolutely always, make them do the most for you. But we had planned a date kind of up in his area where he lives. He planned it, but I had kind of made it clear that I wanted to go somewhere up there. And so I also was driving up to him because he wanted to drive me to the date. And we had made a joke that I could be his passenger princess in his truck. And he said, bring your Stanley, like, filled up with ice water. So I was ready to go up there and like be a passenger princess, which I'm realizing now is even more indicative of the energy that this man brings into my life. He is there to take care of my every need, to make me comfortable, to spoil me. And I am there to just exist. I am there to give him my energy. And he loves the idea of taking care of me. He loves the idea of making my life comfortable. In fact, that gives him purpose. It is the happiness to his identity with me. And that is a man being fully in his masculine. And I didn't realize it at the time, but all of these early signs were showing me the dynamic of this relationship. So I drove up to meet him. I park in his complex and I can't really find him. So I'm texting him to try to, meet up with him. Because again, this is the first time I've ever met him face to face. I get out of my car and he's telling me he's walking towards me because again, he's coming to get me. He's coming to actually retrieve me and help me to feel safe and direct me. And I see him about 50 yards away from me. And I see his silhouette and it's dark, but there's lights from the complex kind of creating a silhouette. And I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back now, when I saw his silhouette, the thoughts that came into my mind, the very first thing that I thought was, there he is. Which I've never thought about a man in my life. In fact, the only time I've ever heard that analogy of somebody seeing their person and feeling that way at first sight is Glennon Doyle in her book Untamed talks about when she first laid eyes on her partner, Abby Wambach, at a book signing. She thought that, there she is. I had never thought that. That's the only time I'd ever heard of it, but I wasn't registering what was happening. So we meet up. He looks really attractive. And you know what's funny? He just has very kind eyes. He is a kind person. You can see it in his face. I've talked many times about eyes being the windows to the soul. My ex had very dark eyes that lacked a lot of life. I've seen creators on here talking about how when men have dead eyes, oftentimes it's indicative of other addictions and things that they have that have them dehumanize other people, especially women. Definitely have seen that in exes, especially toxic exes. But what I saw in my soulmate was kind, life-filled, sparkling eyes. He was very nice. And I'm going to say something else about him that I think is really important for women to hear. He is not my type. He's very attractive. He's a very attractive man. I'm so attracted to him, but he is not somebody that I would normally on paper demographics go for. He just has a different look to him. And that's another thing I want to point out is we need to be open to what the universe brings us. And oftentimes it's not what we think it's going to be. Oftentimes it's different than what we think. And what I've realized now is he's very into clothes. He's very into fashion, which is me as well. We are so alike. In your soulmate, you're going to find so many synchronicities and things you have in common that are quirky, down to what you like on your pizza, down to what you were like as a child, down to condiments that you like to eat with your food. There are so many things that we have discovered about each other that are alike, that are similar in very uncanny ways. And he was very put together. His outfit was cute. He had thought about every detail, which looking back now is something that I've always done and something that I really love about him, that I know that he's always going to look his best for me. Part 3 of this series, where I detail how I met my soulmate, what I did to prepare to meet said soulmate, and the garbage that I had to kind of weed through as I dated to finally call in and bring in that soulmate connection. So in the first 2 parts, which I will tag down below, I talk about how I went on Bumble for a short amount of time. I was very jaded with dating apps, but I entertained it for a couple weeks. I went on 3 dates. I had 3 different men kind of on my roster. Not that I was actively dating, but that I was interested in dating. The first 2 were not matches. The first one, there was no chemistry. The second one was that bad boy, musician, tattooed, dark hair man that is going to wreck your world. And as much as it hurt me and pained me to have to say goodbye to him, because I was very attracted to him and I wanted to have fun with him, I knew in the long run, after an almost 12-month long healing journey where I really tended to myself, I healed a lot of old wounds, I recognized what narcissism is, what narcissistic men are, how my body feels when I'm around them. After going through that for 12 months, I had to be true to myself, and I had to honor myself and go with what felt safe in my body. So I got rid of those first 2 guys, and then my third guy, who was my soulmate, I'm going to call him soulmate, I had a date with him planned for Saturday night. I had never met him before, but we had had 2 phone conversations and 2 FaceTime conversations. And during the FaceTime conversations, I was just happy about him. I wasn't overtly excited about him. I wasn't like, my stomach was not doing flips when we talked or when I thought about him. In fact, we had so much in common. We both were raised in a high demand religion, or grew up in a high demand religion and had left that high demand religion. So to meet somebody with that peculiar of an experience on a dating app was very fun for us, and we had a lot of like fun banter back and forth about that. He was very consistent with communication, so although I hadn't met him, we had had a couple phone conversations, we had FaceTimed a couple times, and leading up to the date, he got back to me consistently, like asking me what I wanted to do. Get ready with me as I finish this story with much better lighting. So soulmate. He was very consistent in communication. So what that means is he was not love bombing me. He was not constantly texting me. He was matching my energy. And because, as I've said before, I was very jaded, I didn't have a lot of time to date, I'm a very busy person, he and I would speak a couple days, every couple days, and he would always kind of reach out to me and just let me know, hey, I'm thinking of you, or hey, I'm really excited to meet you. So he was just consistent in that he perpetuated the idea that he was interested in me and that he was excited to see me, but it was not overt, it was not love bombing, it was just exactly the energy that I needed. So I was just really excited for our upcoming date on Saturday night, and I was so excited looking back now that I actually went and got a brand new outfit for the date. And remember how I said in part 2 of this story that before I went out with Big Hands Man, I wore an outfit that was tight, that was revealing, that was sexy. It was like my subconscious kind of knew my energy was so covert, like the energy that each of these men brought into my life. I didn't even realize at the time, but I was recognizing it on a subconscious level. So with Big Hands Man, I kind of knew without even really knowing that he was going to be that type of guy that's a good time. He's going to be the Danny Zuko to my good girl Sandy. He's going to try to show me adventure and risk. But what that does is it activates your nervous system to be on high alert. And oftentimes these types of men are toxic, and they are activating a part of you that is unhealed, that is wounded, that is this little girl that needs healing. And it's okay for a man to activate that little girl, but there's a healthy way to do it. And that's what this soulmate showed me. So preparing for this date with him on Saturday night, I bought a cute little strapless shirt, jeans. Follow along for part 4.